Dear Graham, it's guys, you up what's? Well, get ready for the price of Bitcoin to collapse into the abyss of nothing because I just bought some Bitcoin. Seriously, for some reason, when it comes to these things, it seems like the entire universe is conspiring against me and everyone is waiting to sell at the precise moment that I buy in. But despite that, I said what I would do a week ago and I bought it. Or as some would prefer me to say, I've diversified into another asset class. This definitely was not a decision out of FOMO. It wasn't me trying to rush in to make as much money as possible, and it wasn't me just dipping in my toes to see what it's like. I just placed a portion of my portfolio into Bitcoin, and now it's there to stay. So let's talk about what happened and what changed my mind, and then I will tell you exactly what I bought, at what price, and how much. The goal of this video is to explain my thought process, just like I would do with any investment that I make. And since this video has a lot more to do than just cryptocurrency, I think it's worth watching. Because I promise, even if you don't like cryptocurrency at all, there are some points in here that are really important to understand. And this is going to apply to everybody, no matter what you're investing in, guaranteed. Oh, and by the way, watch out for all the fake Graham Stephan accounts in the comment section telling you to text a WhatsApp number. Those are all scammers, and as soon as I go and delete and block those accounts, they just go and make new ones. So unless you get a reply from me with a check mark next to the name, it's not me. Bitcoin. Okay, so let me explain what I've just done. I don't know why, but it feels like I'm a guilty kid trying to explain himself here, but a lot of this started a few weeks ago. Apparently, the YouTube algorithm thought it would be a good idea to start recommending Bitcoin content to me late at night when I couldn't fall asleep. So instead of doing what I should have done and close my eyes and go to sleep, I watched video after video about the intricacies of Bitcoin, what institutional investors think of it, who's buying it, who's not buying it, and any other detail you could imagine. This was around the time where it began increasing to the $20,000 range. And of course, when any newsworthy event happens that's in any way related to investing and making money, I get thousands of comments asking for my thoughts or to make a video talking about Bitcoin. Now, initially, I shrugged it off because I'm not a cryptocurrency channel and there are other people out there who know way more about this than I do. But once I ran out of video ideas, then I thought, okay, fine, I'll make a video about Bitcoin, and so it begins. In a recent video, I shared my thoughts, I shared my concerns, I was very critical with several aspects, and I said I wouldn't mind placing a very small percentage of my total portfolio into Bitcoin just as another way to diversify. I thought it was a fairly well-balanced, neutral standpoint. I didn't exactly endorse anyone buying Bitcoin, but I didn't exactly dismiss it either. But yeah, that did not stop a lot of people from making response videos as to what I had to say. Honestly, this is the part of YouTube I absolutely love. It's as though we become this interconnected family of friends who aren't afraid to share their thoughts, tell me what I can improve on, and offer their criticism, and I'm open to it. Anytime I make a video, I listen very intently to what people have to say, and I want to hear as many different perspectives as possible. I'm not afraid of being wrong, and I realize there's always more that I could learn and understand. So I watched a lot of your response videos, and chances are, if you made a video with Graham Stephan and Bitcoin in the title, chances are I've seen it. And I would say there's a few main points that people disagreed with. The first was my claim that cryptocurrencies are subject to price manipulation, and I used the 2017 run-up as an example that pushed up the price right before it dropped 80%. Now, the counter-argument that many people used is that, sure, cryptocurrencies can be manipulated, but so could any other currency, and that's confirmed. The most recent example would come from JP Morgan, who has fined almost $1 billion for manipulating the price of precious metals. So even though, yes, anything could be subject to market manipulation, institutional banks are much more likely to be scrutinized and regulated by the SEC, which is most likely to pursue those charges, not so much with Bitcoin. Cryptocurrency is still a relatively new, difficult to regulate industry. And I think for a lot of people, they like that the SEC is not as actively involved as, let's say, mainstream banks. So while anything can be manipulated, Bitcoin is much less scrutinized than other companies or assets, at least right now. Next, we gotta talk about something that nearly everybody called me out for, and that were my thoughts on regulation. I said that the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network proposed a new regulation that would require people identify themselves and their personal information upon request when transferring more than $3,000. My thought was that this somewhat gives up the anonymity that many people like about Bitcoin to begin with. And many people chimed in to say that sure, even though it can be tracked, everything could be tracked. And they believe that regulation is one step closer to legitimizing it for investors. And you know what? I think that's a good point, and I agree. I think the more regulation put in place, the more serious and comfortable people will feel with Bitcoin. But I think it also has the potential to lose its original allure of placing your money in something that's completely decentralized and completely separate from everything else. So after that, we gotta talk about value. I say that traditional investments are backed by an income-producing company with a tangible product or service that posts revenue and profits for its investors. Not so much with Bitcoin, which is really trading at its price just because it's trading at its price. The way I see it is that there's no specific reason why it's trading at $40,000 instead of $20,000 or instead of $60,000. It just is. Now, the counter argument that other people have made is that there is value in the network effect of Bitcoin, and that the more people use it, the more trust is built and the more likely you are to get the price that you ask. There's also value in supply and demand, as more people demand an alternative asset to their money. There's also value in the institutional belief of the concept, and that's something worth paying attention to. As Tom Heavey pointed out, MicroStrategy has bought $1 billion worth of Bitcoin recently. Grayscale's Bitcoin investment fund raised over $3 billion last quarter, and data has shown that large institutional investors are driving a lot of the demand. Now, the argument against this is that maybe some of those institutional investors are more like speculators who don't really care about Bitcoin at all, and they just want to make as much money as possible in as little time as possible. And still, none of the 10 largest asset managers have bought Bitcoin yet. However, I don't doubt the bigger players are getting in the game, and that's worth addressing. We can agree to disagree when it comes to analyzing the true value and worth of Bitcoin, because I'm sure most of that is going to be subjective depending on what metrics you want to use. There's also the argument that the more Bitcoin grows, the less risky and volatile it's going to become. Or as billionaire Bill Mayer says, Bitcoin's total supply is growing less than 2% a year, and it's obvious by the price that the demand is growing much, much faster than that. However, he recognizes that volatility is not going anywhere anytime soon. And for something so new, you should not be buying it if you can't handle the fluctuations in price. So here's where I stand on all of this. One, I think it's always a good idea to be open to criticism, never take it personally, and always be open to hearing another viewpoint, even if you disagree with it. I fully acknowledge that when it comes to this space, I have barely dipped my toes in compared to the involvement of others. So I fully expect that I would have a lot to learn in this space. I also recognize that viewpoints and perspectives will change over time, and as I've gotten older, the more I've understood the importance of diversification. Like, I know if you were to ask 24-year-old me what I should invest in, I know he would tell me to continue dumping all of my money into real estate, buying dilapidated duplexes and triplexes, and then rent them out for passive income. But the thing is, as I've gotten older and hopefully a little wiser, the more I valued the peace of mind in owning a little bit of everything. Now, even though I did end up buying 2 properties last year, the vast majority of my money went into the stock market. My current goal is to have as much money invested in the stock market as I do in real estate, just so I'm not too reliant on one asset class over another. Alongside that, I'm also trying to diversify my income. I've started 2 other YouTube channels completely independent of this one. I've launched a mentorship group. I'm soon announcing my coffee company, and I have another little something in the works that I could probably talk about in about a month or so. This makes me feel so much more relaxed that no matter what happens to one of them, I'm still gonna have a whole bunch left over to fall back on. And when I feel less stressed about this stuff, I just tend to do better, more productive work. Go figure. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. With that diversification also comes Bitcoin. In my last video, I said I wouldn't be opposed to investing 1 to 3% of my portfolio into Bitcoin and then just letting it ride. And so, I've invested that 1%. It might not sound like a lot, but the real catalyst was when the price went to $40,000 and then suddenly out of nowhere dropped down to $30,000. So once that happened, I figured, you know what, why not? I bought into Bitcoin around the low 32,000 range, and then I also bought some Ethereum around $1,100. And then I went with a 60-40 split between the two. To me, this is an amount that I'm not gonna lose any sleep over. It's not gonna bother me if it drops 50 to 80%, and it's something where if I lose all of it, I'll be totally okay. And even though losing 1% of my portfolio would be a disappointment, it's not the end of the world. That means I'm not going to be concerned with volatility, it's not going to stress me out, but I could still have a small amount invested just in the event it proves to do well long term. This is a similar approach taken by the billionaire Paul Tudor Jones, who's an avid proponent of Bitcoin. For him, he's openly talked about holding 1 to 2% of his portfolio in Bitcoin, and I see the appeal of this type of diversification. However, I still very much take the stance that no one knows where this is going to be trading at in the future, or what it's going to be worth a few years from now. There have been so many price predictions which have never come true, or others which completely devalue how well Bitcoin is done. So as neutral as I still am on Bitcoin, I would rather take the 1% risk and be in it than the 1% risk and be out of it. I'm definitely not a risky investor, and I tend to play it overly safe with the other 99%, and some might even argue that 1% isn't even worth it. But for me, I care more about preserving my money in a well-diversified portfolio than I am about trying to to maximize the profits for every single dollar. If I were a young whippersnapper again, maybe I would think differently. But for where I am right now in my life and my career, I feel like a 1% allocation just makes the most sense. And lastly, let me just say this. Many of my original thoughts on Bitcoin remain unchanged. I still think it could potentially collapse down to nothing. I also think it might head to 100,000. I don't think any amount of charting or analysis is going to accurately predict when and where this will end up. So I would never advocate anyone buying in an amount that they're not fully prepared to lose. In the big picture of investing, Bitcoin is still very new. I still think 12 years of history is not enough to estimate a value 30 to 50 years from now. There's so many unknowns that could really throw a curveball at this at any moment, and that's something to be prepared for. I also believe there's no harm in taking profits if you're overly invested and you have too much of your portfolio in a volatile asset like this. But most important of all, for everyone watching, I just think it's a good trait to be open to criticism, to be able to hear people out, and be open to learning something new. I definitely would not be here today if I closed myself off to new insights or I felt like I knew it all and didn't need to hear anything else. And finally, the last big takeaway from this is diversification. This year has been a big change for me in my portfolio. I've gone from 90% real estate to having money in real estate, stocks, bonds, cash, multiple businesses, angel investments, and so on. I believe the more you invest around, the more stable and consistent your income is going to grow. And for me, that diversification coincides with a 1% investment in Bitcoin. And hey, you know what? Now we could check back 5 years from now and just see how all of this has played out. Oh, and also, remember how I told you I would show you the free stocks I got from Webull? Well, guess what? Let's open them up now. First one I got is Ford. Kid you not, I got another Ford. Come on, focus. And then we also got AGI. So if you guys want free stocks too, just use the link down below in the description, and Webull is going to be giving you 4 free stocks when you deposit $100 on the platform, and those stocks could be worth all the way up to $1,600. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to destroy the subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post pretty much daily, so if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there as my second channel, The Graham Stephan Show. I'm posting there every single day. I don't post here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, make sure to add yourself to that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.